Live from WPRI 12. This is Eyewitness News this morning. Coverage you can count on.
Eyewitness News is tracking Irene this morning. The monster storm has reached land once again, bearing down on North Carolina's Outer Banks. Here are the latest images on satellite radar. Irene weakened overnight. It is now a Category 1 storm, but it's still massive in size. An estimated 26 million people will be affected by it today and in the coming days. And right there, you're looking at the coast of Atlantic Beach in North Carolina. Irene is currently battering the Carolinas. You can see waves and strong winds sweeping into the area, a sight which could be very similar here within the next 24 hours. Meantime, back at home, officials are preparing for the worst. Here's the latest right now. State of emergencies have been declared in Rhode Island and in Massachusetts. Both states are under a hurricane warning, and a total of 8 Rhode Island towns have issued mandatory evacuations, while many others have issued voluntary evacuations. And many of those mandatory evacuations come from coastal communities. They include parts of Westerly, Charlestown, South Kingstown, Narragansett, Coventry, Jamestown, Portsmouth, and Bristol. Officials are warning those who want and need to leave should do so by this afternoon. And our entire Pinpoint weather team is hard at work tracking Irene to help get you and your family storm ready. Let's get right over to meteorologist Pete Mangione right now with the latest on Irene's path. Pete.
Hey, Catherine. Good morning to you and good morning, everybody. Right now, Irene is a Category 1 storm with winds of 90 miles an hour. So it has weakened slightly over the past 12 to 24 hours, but still not something to take lightly at all. Let's take you out to the most recent satellite look of Irene, and she has lost some of her structure. Really no defined eye wall here, but still a very powerful storm and a large storm. We have tropical storm force winds from end to end extending over 500 miles. That's why no matter which way she really tracks, we're going to get hit with at least some tropical storm force winds. Some of us should get hit with hurricane force winds. In terms of the updates, again, Irene currently a Category 1 storm. We're still going to be on the east side of the path, at least that's according to the current forecast from the National Hurricane Center, and we're becoming more and more confident of that track. The height of the storm will still be tomorrow, and you can see as the eye wall gets ready to push on shore to North Carolina, lots of heavy rain ahead of that eye. I mean, the reds and the yellows just showing the rain just coming down, and that's a situation we're going to have to watch here locally. Not only will storm surge be an issue, but we'll also have to watch out for the potential of river flooding from heavy rainfall. In terms of our warnings and watches, a tropical storm warning in effect for inland areas and a hurricane warning in effect for coastal areas, and the coast does include areas along Narragansett Bay. And when we look at potential problems from a hurricane, the number one way in which people get hurt or killed is from the storm surge, and that really is something we'll watch carefully here as Irene approaches. Right now, initial projections are to put storm surge between about 4 to 8 feet, but of course that can change depending on Irene's track. In terms of rainfall, well, here's what we're looking at. Right now, a flood watch in effect this evening all the way through tomorrow. 4 to 8 inches possible in the heaviest swath of rain in New England. Right now, it looks like that would be north and west of 95. However, if she tracked a little bit further to the east, we could see that access of heavier rain swing right into the Providence 95 corridor, and that would not be good because that's obviously a lot of rainfall, which could create additional flooding in addition to the coastal flooding from the storm surge. Right now, eastern Massachusetts looking at 2 to 4 inches of rain. That could create some issues, but obviously not to the magnitude that we're going to see out to the west. But again, this rainfall estimation is very track dependent. We may have to update these numbers here over the next 12 hours. And the next 12 to 24 hours will be key because as she moves over the North Carolina coast, she'll weaken a little bit, possibly weakening a little bit more as she approaches southern New England. However, still expecting Irene to be either a Category 1 hurricane or a strong tropical storm as she makes her closest pass to southern New England. More updates on Irene coming up in just a few minutes. Catherine?
Thank you, Pete. Well, as Irene approaches, officials are urging residents prepare, don't panic. The Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency has the important information to help you get storm ready. Eyewitness News reporter Nicole Estefan continues tracking Irene for us from the EMA headquarters in Cranston.
Well, good morning, Catherine. We are live here at EMA, and this has really been the headquarters as officials continue to disseminate information to the public. And as you mentioned, they have been stressing the last couple of days and continue to stress preparation. They want to make sure that you are prepared, that you take things, loose items from around your home and bring them inside, that you have water and essentials that you might need in case you lose power. Now, we did just get off the phone with Lieutenant Colonel Reel with the National Guard a few moments ago. He told us officials will be back here at 9:30 this morning. They will be on the phone with the National Hurricane Headquarters, and after that they will decide how to move forward, and of course we will bring that information to you. We wanted to remind you of a few things that are happening today. State campgrounds will be evacuated by noon today. That's noon on Saturday. Also, the Block Island Ferry is expected to be suspended, and Easton Beach in Middletown will be closed, and of course they want surfers to stay out of the water. It can sometimes be tempting, but it is dangerous. Also, the Fox Point Hurricane Barrier is expected to be closed at some time today. Now, we did speak with the governor yesterday, and he had some comments about that barrier.
For the storm. The comment about the hurricane barrier is important. We haven't had to use the barrier since its construction in a real event, hurricane event, so there could be some unknowns associated with implementing the barrier. So I urge people downstream particularly to really heed the evacuation advice.
There are greater coordination effort between the communities, Rhode Island EMA, the Rhode Island National Guard, and also the state police.
And they do tell us that coordination and communication will be key over the next couple of days. Again, state leaders will be here at 9:30 this morning. We will bring you any important information that comes from that meeting as soon as we have it. We are live in Cranston with the mobile newsroom. Nicole Estefan, Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Nicole. Well, Hurricane Irene weakened to a Category 1 storm overnight, but forecasters say it's still extremely dangerous. More than 2 million people have been evacuated along the East Coast. Eyewitness News reporter Drew Levinson is tracking Irene for us from Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina.
Heavy rain and howling winds lashed the North Carolina coast this morning as Irene rolled in. Tens of thousands of people are already without power, and at least one tornado has reportedly touched down.
We stay in our mobile home, so we had to get out of there.
Nikki Holland hunkered down with her family at this shelter, but despite mandatory evacuation orders, some residents chose to ride out the hurricane.
This is what we own. This is our property. We live here.
North Carolina's governor has search and rescue teams and military resources on standby.
We do have Black Hawk helicopters and C-130 Hercules aircraft ready to respond after the storm passes if so needed.
For the people living down here, these strong winds are just one of the concerns. The water is another. The storm surge, along with the heavy rains, are expected to bring severe flooding. Up north, officials didn't wait for Irene to finish pounding the Carolina coast.
If you want to be safe, now's the time to start moving.
For the first time ever, New York City's mayor ordered a mandatory evacuation of residents in low-lying areas. The entire mass transit system will also shut down today.
If that's what the city needs to do, then that's, safety first.
Airlines aren't taking any chances either. More than 6,000 flights have been canceled through Monday, when Irene should finally be heading out to sea. Drew Levinson, CBS News, Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina.
And we do have in-depth coverage on our website as we continue tracking Irene. All you have to do is go to WPRI.com for all the vital information you need to be storm ready. There we have the interactive storm tracker, hurricane preparation list, including detailed information on evacuations in our area, and Tony's weather blog. And don't forget, when Hurricane Irene hits southern New England, we want to see your pictures and video of the storm. But just remember, be safe in doing so. You can send them to us via the Report It function from your iPhone or Android app. And we continue tracking Irene this morning. The time right now is 6:09, and meteorologist Pete Mangione will be back with a look at the storm's path in just a few minutes.